Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our very first unboxing. As I said in my last video, we'll be taking a look at Adventure Tactics Domianne's Tower. Still don't know if that name is properly pronounced. If you are one of the creators and see fit to correct me, there's a comment section right down there. But anyway, quick word about my setup. I've got this face cam right here with what I'll actually be unboxing. Full disclosure, I've done the actual unboxing ahead of time to save you guys watching me clumsily open up wrapping and bagging things and so on and so forth. Over here we've got an additional camera which I bought recently just for you guys. You're welcome. It'll be where I put the assorted cards and such, so you guys can get a better idea of exactly what these things are made of, what they look like, and so on and so forth. Pictured right there is the rule book, which I'll be using for reference where to actually put this stuff. So yeah, without further ado, we can get started. Just open this up here. And of course, with newer board games, you always get a wonderful smell. Euphoric. So getting started, first thing that you would see when you open this would be the assorted manuals and such. We've got the campaign guide, which is separate from the rules, and it'll actually tell you what you're doing session by session. We've got, of course, the rule book, which is over there on the camera already. This is a very new game. Some places, when you buy the game, will hand you this thing. It's an extra little guide which gives you some side quests. You can do them all in order or as one-shots, but you can also stick them in a campaign as encounters, which is nice because it's kind of like an official way for you to get extra gold and experience on how to use your characters. Next, we've got these boards. Gonna stick one of them right over here. Now, as you can see, they've got slots in them. You've got a area for your class and your class feature, and you've got an area for weapons, armor, and accessories. A card each will go in there once you have them. You'll also have passive abilities that go here, kind of like a feat if you played Dungeons and Dragons. And over here you'll have modifiers to your dice. There's also a handy little sunken section here for you to keep track of exactly how much HP you have left, and a handy key at the bottom. You've also got this guide right here. You can look through. It'll give you an idea of the advanced classes in the game and how you can unlock them. The game comes with tuck boxes, which are these little boxes which you tuck right into the game box. You can put each individual character's cards in. Players are going to be running with a character. This is how you keep their cards separate. Yeah, there are 5. The characters are pre-named, which I found to be interesting. Normally people like to name their own characters, but this is also a way to play a highly customizable game without having to write on it in pen, like with a legacy game. And as that camera starts getting full up, we'll remove some elements to make room. Next, we've got these tiles. These are map tiles. You're going to stick them end on end They are reversible, as the scenario guide tells you. It's a very nice and easy way to make a varied map. There are some that have varied terrain, like this one. It looks like there's fire and also buzzsaws. So if you wanna play a game, it's right here for you. Let's see what else. We've got a whole lot of character minis. Let me just dig those out. This game does come with its own organization bags. Once you've punched things out, there's about four sheets of punch board here. Well, anyway, so the way I like to organize mine pretty carefully when I do this sort of thing. So, bag of small standees, bag of medium standees, bag of large standees. There's a little dragon, you can see right there. The wings actually go like sideways into the dragon, they notch up, so that's a pretty big miniature. And of course there are going to be the standees to put the actual cardboard cutouts in. These are really small. There's quite a few of them, not as many as there are actual cardboard cutouts, punchboard cutouts, so you're going to need to store them separately pretty much and apply them as needed. We've also got these extra large standees, which you're going to use for the extra large figures. You're probably going to need both for that dragon, but otherwise I'm thinking just one. Next we've got these tiny little ones, which are not large enough to need a stand. They'll just sit right on the map. Got some slimes. Got some prisoner characters. Yeah. Next, you've got these little walls and assorted little additions to the map. If there's a complex terrain that's not covered on the map tiles themselves, you're instructed to put these on. Next, we've got this bag right here. It contains the status effects and the HP indicators for when you've done damage to monsters. Each one is double-sided. There are 1s and 3s and 5s and 10s, which I find quite helpful. We've got a direction deck. Now this top card is just a placeholder. The other ones have two each of north, south, east, and west, which you're going to need to use when you have to determine a random direction for an ability. And last, for the bags, I actually got one more thing. You've got these dice. Now these are 4 different colors of dice. You got blue, black, white, red. Functionally, there's actually no difference between these dice, except the facings are different. So from how I understand it, it's just a way of determining that some weapons and abilities do a little bit more numerically than others, which I find interesting because it's a lot more straightforward than similar RPG games' dice systems. And now the last bag are these little cubes. You just stick them in the little slots on the cards for determining health. You know, how much health you got left. Last loose component is going to be these tokens. I was pretty impressed by these. They're poker chips. They have the word initiative on one side and an enemy or a hero on the other side. basically you shuffle these before each round and then turn them over once they're lined up in order to determine the initiative order for the round. Let me just move some of this stuff out of your way. Okay, and now one thing I found interesting was that you can see over here the heroes and their summons actually have plastic miniatures that can go right on the game board. Another interesting thing to note though is that if you're one of those people who doesn't like the clashing appearances of cardboard standee versus plastic miniature, there are cardboard standee versions of all of the player characters in summons. This setup's interesting, however, in that it's actually stuck into the insert. The section that the dudes come in, stuck right in the insert. Fortunately, there's plenty of space in the box, so I won't see the need to remove the insert like in some of my games. And now we'll get to the cards. On the back of the box it says quite plainly, wow, 800 plus cards. Now, I don't know yet if the game should be advertising that. It looks to me like all of the cards have a practical purpose, though when I see 800 cards it makes me kind of nervous. From my experience as a Magic the Gathering player, sometimes more cards means more problems, but I guess we'll see if that's true or not when we actually get around to playing the game. But in the meantime, let's look at the different card types. We'll start off small. So here we've got the perks and the dice. These attach to your character card, that cardboard thing I showed you with the HP and the slots for cards and such. These go on there. Like first one here is passives. Basically, you see that one on the bottom there? It says tough. You can basically just get 3 extra hit points straight up, which will be very good at the start of the game. Later on though, you might want to swap that out. We've also got the dice modifiers. This one on the bottom is for the rogue. Whenever another hero is adjacent to your target, you roll an extra die. So that's kind of like the standard backstab bonus you get in the typical RPG setting. Now on to full-size cards. There are a whole lot of different kinds of cards. However, fortunately, there are a whole lot of different card dividers to match. Real quick, if you guys buy this game and need to store it, it's tricky to tell which cards can go where, because it's actually in 2 different sections. There's one here and one down there. I recommend doing this in a way which I'm just about to explain. So in this smaller section here, we start out with the character classes. This is your basic stats basically. Tells you your basic attack roll, your range of that attack, and your movement range. There are 5 starting classes on the top: Archer, Cleric, Fighter, Rogue, and Wizard. And then the advanced classes are right beneath that. Yeah, character classes. We'll actually stick that underneath. Next, our first very large section of cards is the level up cards. You take these, they'll give you an HP bonus and extra cards once you've leveled. But starting at level 1, you take one of the starters up top, and you take the class features, perks, and the cards that are there. Move those. Okay. Next, you've got the class features. You'll get these based on class, and you might get some more later. It goes in the class feature slot next to the class on your little sheet. Top one here is Shake It Off. This is that ability in regular RPGs where you're going to just heal. It's quick, it's painless, however you can only do it once per encounter. Stick that right over here. Next, you've got Market. As you go through the game, of course, you'll be able to purchase new items. Example is this healing potion. It goes in your accessory slot typically. You remove it from the encounter to roll the 2 dice pictured there and heal equal to your number of hits on it. And more will be added to the Market deck as you go. Let's see. A couple more things here. Story perks. As you progress through the campaign and do different things, you'll gain perks. You give these to one character and it'll go into their deck essentially. Top one here lets you make 2 basic moves instead of 1. That's a basic card we'll look at in a bit. For right now though, we're going to go ahead and... Actually, let's put those ones back in the box, I think. Let's clean up later. And those particular sets of cards are going to go right here in the smaller portion of the box. It was tricky for me to figure this out at the start because of how the different sets of cards were initially sealed in plastic. They weren't sealed in any particular order. A lot of games do that. So you're going to kind of need to figure out your own organization system, which can bite, to be honest. But it can be a little bit of fun as well. Next, we're moving on to the bigger section. Going to start over here. So first off, you've got supply loot. This stuff, it gives you loot. As you play the game, you're going to get loot from this stack. Typically, you'll be able to pick some of it, and then some of it will go into the Market deck for you to purchase later. Gonna put that right there. It's Rigby's sword. You can raid the park in a regular show and steal Rigby's sword. No, that's not what it actually is. Rigby's a goblin in this universe, and he didn't go to college to redeem his whole character and all that. Alright, next we've got the supply items. These are random items you'll get during the game, much like loot. Typically, you'll be instructed to take these and then put them in your party section, which we'll get to. Got another healing potion. Alright, these things are called Marks of Death. I'm not 100% sure what they do because it actually wasn't explained anywhere in the rules. The rules are kind of tricky to read through, and I did not see a single mention of these cards. Probably in my main review I'll touch on that. But for now, they exist. I don't know how you get them or why, but generally marks of death are a bad thing. Next, we've got random encounters. As your party goes on the road, you're going to have to pick from this deck occasionally, and whatever's on it occurs. Sometimes, if you do things a particular way in the scenario itself, then you'll add more, meaning sometimes enemies can come back to bite you if you don't do the right thing in the encounter concerning them. So I think that's pretty interesting. I do the same thing myself when I write for the RPG group. Next, we've got supply perks. This is like what I mentioned before. Perks are just given to somebody, added to their deck. One on top here, the yellow icon means it's for free. You can make a basic move with that. Usually you can only do 2 actions on your turn, so that's a big deal. Then there's one that lets you do an attack when you get attacked. It's a retaliate. Next, we've got a big stack. These are boss decks. Essentially, each boss has its own deck. Typically, every encounter will have a boss. He's the only one that is marked on the enemy initiative tokens, and his deck basically gives his action and the action of his opponent, of his minions as well. And typically the boss will go on average twice per round. And each boss has a unique deck, so that's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. I sound like the Nature Walk guy. You guys remember him? Alright. We've got party random encounters. These are the encounters that start in your random encounters deck. The one that I showed off before are added to the game as the campaign progresses. We'll stick that right up there. What else? Next, we've got party items. There's nothing here as of yet because you don't fill this up with anything until you start the game and actually have a party. Same with marks of death. Don't have any, nothing in here yet. Next, we've got action cards. These are the action cards that you add to your characters as the game goes on. These are special action cards that your character will start with. Character will start with some of them, and they'll add more as the game goes. This is part of the drafting element for a deck, which will, of course, determine what your character does. This isn't a full review, just an unboxing, so don't worry, we'll get more on that when the time comes. See, adaptable. That's a nice combo card. It can let you do a basic move or attack, so at least you'll always be able to do something and not be stuck with endless moves or endless attacks. I'm told that's very bad. Last 2 we've got are just the basic moves and basic attacks. If I remember correctly, you're going to start with 3 of each of these in your starting deck, and then you'll add the extra action cards for your class, and that's your deck starting the game. These are going to be good to have because they're gonna fill out your deck, make sure you can do the basics. Later on, though, you may wish to swap them out for more useful cards. See, we got a sword for the attack and a boot for the move. And that's actually the entirety of the contents of the box. Unless there's something underneath, which, nope. Gotta be careful, those tricky game developers these days. And I say that knowing that I am also a game developer. So, yeah, be careful of us, Sonny. Yep, that'll be it for the contents of the box. Now I'm going to put everything back in the box and get to editing this video. Gonna edit it together. The microphone that you're hearing my voice on is attached to the camera because that one's better. But we're gonna do a little split screen action hopefully. If that doesn't work out, my face is gonna be up in the corner. But yeah, that'll be about it. There were a couple other things that I'd like to mention, but I'll save that for the main review, which I hope you'll all tune into. I'm sure if you're interested in the unboxing, you'll probably be interested in the full review itself. So yeah, hope to see you there. I enjoyed making this one for you. I hope to see you in the next one. Have a nice night, day, whatever.